It is January 20th. I'm Chris Chavez.
I'm Preet Majithia.
And it looks like we've got the first real sign that it is 2026 and the indoor season is underway. We had 19-year-old Aussie Cam Myers go to Seattle and blast a 349 mile on the UW oversized track. We also started to get some breadcrumbs of the stars starting to plan out when they're going to step out onto the track, with Keely Hodgkinson making some plans. Femke Bol's coach has spoken out about when we might see her the first time over 800 meters. We're also going to preview the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix taking place in Boston this upcoming weekend, which has some pretty strong and intriguing not only fields but distances being offered up. Plus, we'll share our reactions to the 2026 Boston Marathon Women's Elite Field that got released earlier today. And maybe Preet can also take a stab at educating us on the qualifying process for the World Indoor Championships. And yeah, I guess let's start with that, Preet, I guess, because there's so many of these races taking place over the next coming weeks. Will be geared towards that. Yes, New Balance Indoor Grand Prix and Millrose Games are maybe some of the more loaded regular indoor season meets before each country's national championships, and then ultimately the World Championships, which will be taking place in Poland later this year. Preet, congratulations. You got your credential accepted today.
Yes.
So we'll have boots on the ground there. But I guess let's lay it out for people. How do you qualify for the World Indoor Championships?
So the good thing is the World Indoor Championships qualifying is a little bit simpler than the Outdoor World Championships qualifying. And I think part of the reason for that is this whole idea of world rankings and stuff doesn't really work when you've got a really short indoor season. And they've tried various formula, and you then just had a bunch of people qualified from the outdoor season based on times they'd run or on their world ranking from outdoors. In the most ridiculous part of it was in the combined events where, people were qualifying based on a completely different event, effectively. So they have shaken that up a little bit. I don't think they fixed the combined events, unfortunately, because it's quite difficult to fix. But in the other events, what they have done is they have said, look, the qualifying window is now from the 1st of November up until I think it's the 7th or the 8th of March. So it's a very small window. What that means is that people in general are not going to run enough races, to get a world ranking. You normally have to run 5 races or compete in 5 events if you're a field eventer. That doesn't really work. So what they have done is they have set a qualifying standard. If you achieve the qualifying standard, you're in. And if not, they go basically down the descending order list of performances. So it's literally the people who've run the quickest in the qualifying window. And interestingly, because we have seen some Jamaicans, for example, running 60 meters outdoors, they have said wind-aided times. So I guess if you have a headwind, you're fine, but wind-aided times will not be allowed.
And still, though, when you're going down to the descending order list, the country cap at 2 athletes per country still applies.
Correct. It's 2 athletes per country unless you have the
world
wild
champion
card. Yes. And actually, let me just double check what the wild card is. Or actually, do they even have a wild card? I don't even know if they've got a wild card this time. But
yeah, actually, I don't remember.
They've only got the World Indoor Tour wild card, so they don't invite back World Indoor champions. So they've said the individual overall winner of each event of the World Indoor Tour 2026 will automatically qualify for the World Athletics Indoor Championships. Now, the reality is that I think anyone who gets a wild card is probably going to have qualified, but the only advantage it offers is you can have a 3rd athlete qualify, therefore.
Now, a question mark here that might pop up is when these meets are running, which we'll get to later on in this episode, just some strange distances. Does a 600 performance count towards an athlete's 800? Because Josh Hoey ran the 600 in Boston last month, running the 800 in Boston this upcoming weekend, and the mile at Millrose. So what does the 600 play into? Anything?
No, I don't think it plays into anything, and that it does in world rankings, and this is where I think the difference is. Right? So in world rankings, you can count similar events. You can't have all of your things, like you can't get a 400 or an 800 ranking just by running 600s, but you can have, like, if you have to have 5 performances, you can have a couple of performances in off events, as it were. But for this, there are qualifying standards for the specific event: 60, 400, 800, 15, 3K, 60 hurdles, and then the field events: high jump, pole vault, long jump, triple jump, and shot put. So all of those events, they have a qualifying standard. The one that is the hardest to achieve, because it's got the smallest field, is a 3K, because it's a straight final. The 3K time that you need is 8:35 for women or 7:33 for men. I think that's actually a little bit easier than it was last year, because I think it was 7:30 last year for the men. So, and I think the reason for that is because it's a straight final. They can't afford to have 20, 30 people hit that standard. So they are making the standard insanely hard.
We'll get ready for the Millrose 2 mile, where they will take the 3K split, but then everyone's still going an extra lap. So the final 400 of the Millrose 2 mile is going to be like especially fast, because there will be athletes in those fields potentially, trying to get a mark that will get them a spot for World Indoors.
Exactly, and I think there's this exact example, like Laura Muir qualified for World Indoors by winning the 2 mile she didn't. Well, she did win the 2 mile a couple of years ago, because the athlete that actually won had kind of got DQ'd because she sort of cut in too early.
I remember that.
But she was actually very focused not on winning the race. She was focused on her 3K split to get the qualifying time for World Indoors. So that was, but that is the kind of thing that you may well see some athletes going all out for the 3K and not the 2 mile, not caring too much about the result of the 2 mile, possibly. But especially if they're not necessarily in the mix for the win. So, but so the mile obviously is the same thing. So people running a mile, they'll obviously be looking for that 1500 split as well to get the qualifying time, which is 3:36 for men and 4:06 for women. So that is a little bit easier, but that is because there are 30 entries in the field, and obviously it's indoors. So in theory, Jakob's the only guy who's broken 3:30 indoors, I think. So it's not necessarily an easy place to run stupidly fast.
People are already running quick. There's I just saw Mohamed Atatui. He ran like a personal best. What was it, 3:35, 3:36 ish for 1500, and he's an 800 specialist. Mark English in his first 800 since the Tokyo World Champs breaks the Irish indoor 800 meter record. Now we'll see how long that stands, because Cian McPhillips is going to run at the Millrose Games, and we've got such a fun rivalry forming between those two guys. But yeah, I mean, the indoor season in full swing. There was that meet that was out in Luxembourg that gave us a couple results here and there, and then at UW we saw Cam Myers run 3:49. He'll be is he in the 2K this weekend in Boston?
Yes, I think so.
Which that 2K has Grant Fisher, Jake Whiteman. So we know that Cam Myers is in great form, and then we'll see just sort of like our first preview of how good the other two guys are, because
he's in the 3K,
they're slated to run.
He's in the 3K.
Oh, he's in the 3K.
Yeah,
which we'll talk about in a bit, because there's this New Balance Indoor Grand Prix is offering up a men's 600 and an 800, and then a men's 2K and a 3K, and Preet's got some feelings about it. All right, so really quick on just some newsy bits from the past week. Keely Hodgkinson, who is the reigning Olympic champion in the 800 meters and deep into training right now out in South Africa with the M11 Track Club, scratched the entire 2025 indoor season, but for fans, it looks like she'll be back in action very soon with the Leven meet out in France on February 19th, and then she has committed so far and accepted her spot for the British Indoor Championship. So Preet presumably, I guess this means a full indoor season with her possibly going all the way through the World Indoor Championships, which would be a lot of fun to see because she's one of the biggest stars in the reigning Olympic champ.
Yeah, I mean, she's tried to run World Indoors quite a few times, and every time it's gone wrong. I think she literally was it Belgrade, was it 2023? And
Yeah.
she had to, or 2022, and she was literally there, and she had an injury in warm up. So it's kind of not been her luck with indoors. Obviously, last year, she literally pulled out the day of or the day before the Keeley Classic, which is obviously her event. And actually, funnily enough, the Keeley Classic was supposed to be happening this year. It got cancelled. The Levan meet is literally about 2 days before that event was scheduled for this year. So I guess she has kind of swapped that in. But Levan is obviously a place you go to run fast. And I think last year she was very vocal about breaking that world indoor record in the 800 meters. And I don't know if she's going for that in Levan, but given that's where Jakob broke the mile and 1500 world record last year, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what she is looking to do.
Lots of hill work as far as I've been seeing on the M11 page and what Coach Trevor Painter and Jenny Meadows is putting that group through right now. Also, fun thing that I caught just in the last couple of days is, and I don't know if Georgia Hunter Bell broke some sort of like embargo or confidential, just sort of secret seal on Nike testing these like skin tight suits similar to, I guess, like what Faith Kipyegon wore during Breaking 4, but both her and Keely Hodgkinson and I believe Elise Cranny were all wearing it, and it looked like Nike had some of their sports research team down there as well. So always being innovative, and maybe it's a glimpse of what the swoosh might be rolling out come 2027, 2028. Who knows how far out like these projects come to be, but I found that interesting. I was like, oh, all right, like sounds like the cat suit is going to be coming back, and we've got our first glimpse of it with Faith. I thought it was a little bit. They like the suit could not have added that or reduced that much more time. So it's like we're still sort of looking for the little areas, and I think footwear is the biggest place to try and make as many marginal gains as possible. Like you give a shoe designer 44 millimeters for the road, and like they can do a lot within that space. 20, 23, whatever it is, and on the track ends up being a little bit more limiting. So you got to look to other places, and it looks like Nike is looking at the cat suit direction.
Yeah, though I wonder if anyone ever brings back or maybe I don't know whether it's banned, but the
Kathy Freeman,
the Kathy Freeman suit, exactly, yeah, the full head with head suit. But obviously they banned the suits in swimming, right? So that kind of because they had a similar impact that everyone was swimming so fast that they had to ban them completely because it was just getting ridiculous. So
those were polyurethane, I think.
Yeah, there was some kind of special like all over suits, right? That were that people were using. So.
Now we're thinking it's like, what about a polyurethane speed suit for track?
Yeah.
All right. Other newsy bit would be that Femke Bowl's coach, Laurent Muley, has said that she could race an 800 indoors either in February or March, but that she's unlikely to run the 800 at the World Indoor Championships. So not entirely showing her cards against the best in the world just quite yet, but we know that this is going to be a season-long experiment for Femke's foray to the 800. I think they're also in South Africa right now and getting some altitude training in, and it's fun to see Coach Muley, like I think, is like accompanying some of the athletes like on their longer stuff, because I'm sure Femke is like not used to having to run as long, and incorporating some of that more not necessarily threshold work, but it's the aerobic. They're really trying to improve her aerobic capacity. So your thoughts on it, I guess, like Femke stepping out into the 800, but not entirely. Like it sounds like the Netherlands team will have to use her like on the relays if they want to have any sort of semblance of success at the World Indoor Championships. Like she'll have to be part of like the 4x4, or mixed 4x4, because without her, I guess like it's a different caliber team.
Yeah, I mean, I think they said in that same article that she was planning still potentially to run the relays at World Indoors, but yes, it doesn't sound like she's running. She's not that likely to run the 800 at World Indoors, and obviously we really do want to see what she can do, right? And her coach has said she might run, she might not, and I think we spent a bit of time speculating what time we thought she could run, and we had differing opinions, I think, but we're all on the side of she'll break 2. Will she break? Will she get? Will it be 159, 158, 157, 156? Like, how far will she go? I think we were of a mind that she's probably not going to go out and run 154 in her first year doing it.
No.
But it's a long-term move. So I think it's something where, I think it will be a really good achievement if she gets to something like 158 or 157 this year, and then could potentially build from that. So but we'll have to see how that goes. But I am very excited. She's always a fun athlete to watch, and her doing something as exciting as this is going to be fun.
I guess a good year indoors would be break 2 indoors if you give this a go. And then come outdoors, like just have a solid progression where you get to... Do you think 157 in the final at Europeans gets you a medal? Because obviously someone like Keeley or Georgia Hunter-Bell would be the favorites if they race at the European Championships. But then Audrey Wero actually also might be a force there. So it's like maybe I'm wrong, and 157 doesn't necessarily get you a medal come the European Championships.
No, exactly. I mean, I think we've got some really exciting, like the championships. You think, oh, it's only Europeans, it's only Commonwealths come the summer. I'm sure I will be raving about those when we get a bit closer to the time, because I think both the Commonwealth Games and the Europeans are crazy strong fields in a lot of the middle distances. So there's a lot to look forward to. And I do think Femke might struggle to medal, but in her first year. But I have no doubt.
Yeah.
But then again, this is the thing. We saw what Sydney did in the 400, and we knew what she was kind of capable of. But to do it in the way that she did it, and yes, we know that Femke wasn't as close to Sydney as we might like, but she was still out there from a world perspective. She's the only person, she's run 49.1 indoors for the 400. So she has a lot of unexplored potential in the 400, and I think there's every possibility with her hurdle strength that it could translate, because we've seen what someone like Anna Hall can do, not really training for the 800, running 201 after 6 events, and she's essentially a 400 hurdler. Kind of, that's her kind of, if she was doing one event, she'd be a 400 hurdler. So yeah, I think there's every possibility that it translates really well for Femke.
There should just be a meet where they take non-800 meter specialists, but all these people that were itching to see run an 800 and have just one heat paced by someone like Keeley, and just be like, all right, let's end everyone's speculation and big what ifs, and let's have Keeley go out and pace this race to see just how hard someone like Femke, Anna Hall, throw, I don't know, Dalilah Muhammad in there to just all out 800 meter time trial, and we all get our just sort of answers. Some meet should pony up that, because it'd get eyeballs for sure. I mean, it'd be the most intriguing race to watch.
I mean, if stuff like that's going to happen, it's going to happen this year, isn't it? So
yeah. This is the year for off distances and trying new things. So yeah. All right, let's now move on to the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix, which is taking place this upcoming weekend, and we have the full fields out.
Oh, no chocolates today, Mr. Woods?
No, Ruby. This is all I need. Papa always told me, life is like a box of lollipops. All the flavor and fiber you'll ever need to get far in life. And boy, was he right. I never really had an end goal, never had a reason to stop either. All I knew was I could run forever with one. Until I ran out.
And then what?
I went home.
Oh.
Now on their website, some intriguing storylines in the distance races. So just kind of on an upper level, I'll go over them, and then maybe we could touch on the ones that we're looking forward to the most. In the men's 600, you've got Donovan Brazier versus Bryce Hoppel, and then 2 weeks later, they'll be going head to head in is it a week or 2 weeks later? The difference between Millrose and Boston.
It's just a week.
Week, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I'm not staying in the US for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's right. Preet's coming to America. So
Yeah,
if you're in Boston or New York,
come say hi.
Might come say hi to Preet. So Brazier versus Hoppel in a 600 in Boston, and then a week later they're going to go at it in the 800 in New York. The women's 800 will feature the professional debut of Roisin Willis. She had an NIL with New Balance, so we'll keep tabs on what kit she's rocking there. Josh Hoey, the indoor 800-meter world champion, will be attacking the indoor 800-meter world record in the men's 800. You've got a really, really strong 1500 that has world silver medalist Dorcas Ewoy versus Sinclair Johnson, who's fresh off of that U.S. road mile record last month in Hawaii. So you know that she's fit. And kind of Sinclair news, she posted on her Instagram today like a little farewell to Nike. So, after being supported by the brand from, turning professional out of college, running for the Bowerman Track Club, and then Union Athletic Club, and then most recently just kind of independently with her fiance and coach, Craig Nowak. It looks like she's moving on to another sponsor, so keep your eyes peeled for an announcement on that. And so most likely, new kit on her this upcoming weekend. That field also features Danny Jones, Gracie Morris, fresh off of World Cross, the 2K relay. Then we've got the men's 2K, which has Grant Fisher, Jake Whiteman as like the headliners there. Don't overlook Hobbs Kessler in that one either. Women's 3K has Ellie St. Pierre opening up her indoor season. The former world champ at 3K is going to, I think the plan right now, according to Coach Mark Coogan, is to run a full indoor season. So that'll be New Balance Indoor Boston, and then Millrose Games where she's in the Wanamaker Mile, then probably USA's, and then Worlds. Men's 3K, a good field in this one. It's got Marco Langen, Graham Blanks, Morgan Beetlescombe, Andrew Koskarin. So let's start there with the distance races. So your first grievance here is the fact that we have a 600 and an 800, which separates Brazier, Hoppel from Hoey. Both Hoeys, Abel Tefra in the 800. But really,
there's nobody really to compete with Josh Hoey in that 800. And yes, okay, he's going for the world record, but wouldn't you like to see if Brazier and Hoppel were in that, and Kim McPhillips, could any one of those people get the 800 meter indoor world record? And we saw what kind of, what happens when you have an indoor race where there's competition for a world record at the Millrose Games last year with Grant Fisher and Cole. And maybe it's a bit trickier in the 800 because if there is that sort of, you don't have that clean run at it, then maybe it is trickier to run fast indoors. Because, if you're fighting for position, then you might lose a couple of tenths and that's the world record gone. But at the same time, kind of, what are we doing here, people? Literally, I just don't, either go all in on the silly distances or go in on, and with good fields, but running silly distances. Or if you're going to have the proper distance, then don't have all the actual people who run that distance in another race. it just makes no sense to me. Or rather, it's not that it doesn't make sense. I think it's just that I just find it really stupid. It's just really dumb, frankly. And it's like, I'm like, this is meant to be the Continental Tour Gold. This is the top indoor competition series that we have. And this is the kind of silly stuff that we're doing here, people. Like, I just don't.
So,
yeah.
You want your answer, Preet? Like, you got to peel back the curtain and take a step back a little bit more as to like why stuff like this happens. And it's a protection of your stars when so many of these people are represented by the same agent. So Bryce Hoppel, Donovan Brazier, Josh Hoey, all represented by the same agent, Mark Wetmore. And so this is also a meet that's being put on by them. And so you probably cater to your own athletes. Like, I'm sure this wouldn't shock me, right? Like, and I've kind of gotten this vibe sometimes, is that because Josh Hoey has been just sort of pedal to the metal, all gas, no brakes, just like so intensely fit at all times of the year, that some people are not ready to race him and don't want to necessarily get, blown out and the storyline or narrative and optics shift for them. So it's like, maybe it's sort of like, we don't want, Donovan Brazier to lose to Josh Hoey, which sucks, right? Because losing is a part of the sport. And like,
but what I find silly is they're all racing each other in an 800 at the Millrose Games a week later.
No, they're not. Because Hoey's in the mile.
Hoey's in the mile, but as in Brazier and Hoppel, and like they're racing.
Brazier, Hoppel, and Kean McPhillips, they're all together in the 800. So like you can't. I'm not faulting those guys. It's more in this one. I think like the issue is just sort of like having these two these two distances be so close and separating them.
Well, the 300 and the 400
not
also
as much
makes
of
me
an
angry.
issue. Yeah, we'll get to that one. But like, it's not as much of an issue at Millrose because it's mile versus 800, two different events, and Hoey just happens to have the versatility to go across both of them. In this one, it should have just been an 800, and you should have just had Brazier and Hoppel thrown into this one. But understandably, if they said something to their agent being like, we're not ready to run a hard 800 against Josh, then, and meanwhile Josh is like, I want to break the world record, then you're like, all right, I guess I'll organize two different races. That's my thinking of like how it all plays out behind the scenes, which, yeah, I mean, it prevents us from seeing the stars go head to head against one another. And instead we're going to see a time trial in one heat versus with Hoey versus the clock, essentially, when you look at that field. And then the other one will actually be a solid race probably between Brazier, Hoppel, and Kean McPhillips. Yeah.
And I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if they also go for the 600-meter world record indoors. But that's probably a little bit of an easier task.
Yeah, but also and maybe the idea would have been just run another 600, and Hoey opted for the 800. It's just like, I guess we don't know the behind the scenes of like what event was on the program first. I would think because of the Continental Tour status or the World Indoor Tour status that like it was probably leaned on to be an 800. Like that's probably one of the distances that you had to carry at this meet. And so, yeah, politics, I guess. But I guess like you don't see it as much, I guess, in at the Millrose Games because you've got a lot of Ray Flynn represented athletes, and they're going head to head across.
Oh no, we still got silliness at the Millrose Games because then we've got our man Cooper Lutkenhouse in the 600 instead.
That's true, I guess. Yeah.
So it's
I guess there is some of that.
Yes,
too, yeah.
It's all happening. It's all happening. Every weekday.
All right, so we kind of touched on those a bit. Do you think the 600-meter world record goes down? Brazier, Hoppel? I think Hoey was just like on a tear last month, and it would be nice to see Brazier in that form, but it's still January.
Yeah, to be fair, he was running a mile in Honolulu a few weeks ago, so maybe he's kind of on over distance, and this is just...
He got married, too, right after
yes.
that, too.
Yeah, he's been busy. So, we'll give him a bit of grace. But
And then the 800 world record, do you see it falling?
I honestly don't know. I feel like at some point Josh
Let me pull
Hoey's
up what
got
it is for reference.
Josh Hoey's, it's 142. It's Wilson Kipketer, isn't it?
Kipketer, right?
Yeah. 142 something. 142 low.
Yeah, I'll find it. But yeah, or to your point, yeah, what were you thinking?
At some point, Josh Hoey's got to run out of steam. That's my it's just got to happen. But is it gonna be this weekend? I don't know. Maybe he'll keep going. But yeah, at some point he's got to run out of steam. I feel like I'm not sure this is the race for it. I don't know, but my gut is that this isn't quite the race for it. He doesn't really have competition in this race. And yes, he is good at running from the front, and that's how he ran quick times last indoor season as well. But at the same time, I kind of worry that what's going to happen is what happened to him at World Indoors, where he sort of overcooked it a bit after having that amazing indoor season, and he still held on for the gold medal, but he didn't run the quick time that he was hoping to run. So that's my gut, is that I think he'll come close, but I think he'll be a 143 rather than a 142 is my guess.
He's already number 2 on the world all-time list. His American record is 143.24 from the U.S. Indoor Championships last year. Wilson Kipketer has the world record indoors at 142.67. So even under 143, it's still a good chunk. So we'll see. I don't necessarily think it's going to happen at this meet, but if he was requesting a crazy pace in Honolulu, then and if he's only leveled up since that 600 indoor world record, then I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. It's just kind of wild to be this fit this early. All right, then we move on over to the other intriguing field here, women's 1500. Sinclair versus Dorcas Ewoy versus Susan Ajor-Sanders. That'll be, I think, a good one. Because Sinclair was in really good form last month. But let's see how the Puma Elite 2025 magic carries over into 2026 with Dorcas. So that's what I've got my eyes on that one. All right.
Yeah, I'm also going to shout out Claudia Kazmierska, because obviously she's trying to qualify for a home World Indoors. So
true. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting. So yeah.
All right, Preet Rant Part 2. Now, hit me with your thoughts on men's 2K and men's 3K taking place this weekend.
I mean, again, like Grant Fisher in a 2K. What are we doing, people? When there's a perfectly good 3K, Jake Whiteman in the 2K, maybe that's interesting. I don't know, but he's not a time trialer. So what are we doing in a 2K? Like, I don't see the value of winning a 2K race, right? There isn't.
Actually, this is where, there's going to be a piece on this in the lap count this week where it pushes back against exactly what you're saying. I think a 2K is entertaining because we're going to get Grant in the 2 mile at Millrose. So he'll check the 3K box there, presuming that he'll either break his own he'll break the world record or come close to it. He'll be at the front of that race that is going to be going fast, and they'll likely be under the World Indoor Championship standard. So, all right, well, if Grant wants to run a 2K here, then I think it's okay because we've got a really good. This one's different because I don't think that it's a case of any stars ducking each other. Grant versus Jake, assuming Jake is fully healthy, is intriguing because you can't it's not necessarily a mile, which the edge would go to Jake. It's not necessarily a 3K where the edge would obviously go to Grant. So the in-between of it is a bit more fun than just one extra lap, 600, 800. Like those are two much more similar events than 2K versus 3K.
Yeah, but I still think, I'd still have liked to see Grant against Graham Blanks, and
Well, you're gonna get that at Melrose.
In Cam Myers and yeah, I just yeah, I don't know. Well, to be fair, I'd love to see Cam Myers in the
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
2K.
I want Cam Myers in the 2K,
yeah.
not the 3K.
Yeah, maybe that's it. But I mean, Hobbs Kessler, we shouldn't write him off. He had such a fantastic indoor season last year, right? And it was just a real shame that he didn't go to World Indoors. And I really do hope that people don't do that this year. Like, obviously, if you're American, there is no reason not to go for World Indoors. We've told you how to qualify now, so go do it, and and then turn up at US Champs and then run World Indoors, because there is literally no reason, right? Yes, it's an off year, and if you want to but indoors is fun, right? Do indoors and then chill out for a while. You don't have to worry about peaking for USAs in July or June to qualify for World Championships or Olympics. So yes, you might want to try and make World Ultimate Championships, but that is, you're going to be traveling around Europe and running a few fun races, right? It's not going to be the same level of stress that qualifying for Worlds is and peaking for Worlds is going to be. So I really do think I'll be really disappointed. Like, I know there are some people that already said they're not doing World Indoors. I think Grant has said he isn't. Jake Whiteman has said he isn't. But I do think, I think it's a bit different for the Brits, but for the Americans, there is literally no reason not to. And I really do want to see as many Americans as possible hit the World Indoors hard, or hit the indoor season hard.
Every week you get more and more American on this podcast.
Well, no, this year, I mean, look, I'm going to be at World Indoors, so it's in my interest for it to be as strong, stronger fields as possible, and having the Americans there contributes to that. So, yeah, I want to see it.
So what's the scenario for America to have 3 men at World Indoors?
So I think you then have to have a winner on the World Indoor Tour. And that means racing and that's the other stupid thing about people running these stupid off-distance events, right? That doesn't help that cause, is because if you run and I don't know, they might treat the 2K as a 1500. I don't know whether there's also, like, some of these events are official World Indoor Tour events, some of them aren't. It's not very clear from this start list on the website which ones are which. But events that are officially on the World Indoor Tour, if you win the World Indoor Tour, and that means effectively you compete at 3 meets and you get points, i.e. by placing well in those races. The people who get the most points across the 3, like, it's not officially 3, but essentially you count a maximum of 3 scores. So if you compete at 4 meets, then you'd only count your best 3 scores to win the World Indoor Tour. Or certainly that's how it was last year. I must admit, I haven't looked at it this year, but I assume it is a similar criteria.
Yeah, I was about to try and do a quick look for what each discipline is going to be for each of the meets. Let's see. Yeah, I guess, like, it's 60, 800, 3K, 5K. So the 3K, 5K ones count towards one another. Pole vault, triple jump, shot put. I don't see anything about 2K in there.
No. Maybe not.
So I guess, to your point, it's useless.
Yeah.
And I don't see anything about 600 counting towards 800 either.
No, I think it depends whether the event, like, it's like at the Diamond Leagues, right, where you get Diamond League points for winning. The 2K is then treated as part of the 1500 on the Diamond League, right? If it's a Diamond League event. So there is a bit of that, but I haven't checked exactly what is and what isn't this year. But so
all right,
but I doubt. But this is the other thing, right? There are a few Americans who go over to Europe and do that. We've got Craig Engels and Grant Holloway over in Europe already, but. For the vast majority of Americans, you're doing Boston, you're doing Melrose, and then that's it. If you're
piecing out,
in terms of the gold meets, right? So where you can get these wild cards. So maybe. All
right, let's move on over to the sprints.
Yes.
For the sprints, the big storylines are, well, Quincy Wilson's running 400. And then you've got tons of
No, Quincy Wilson is not. Oh yeah, he's running 400, isn't he? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh damn it. But he's not running the 300.
I know, yeah. So then we got a true season opener for 110 hurdles world champion Cordell Tinch. He'll be in the 60 hurdles. Heptathlon world champion Anna Hall will be doing the women's 400. Is she also jumping at this meet?
She's doing the long jump as well. Yeah, she's doing. So the long jump is earlier on in the meet, and then the 400 is towards the end. So.
And then the best race of the day is slated to be the men's 300, where you've got Noah Lyles versus Jareem Richards versus Trayvon Bromell versus Vernon Norwood. I think those are the only 4 guys in the field, right? Yep, only 4 guys.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really have more than that in the 300, can you? Because they have to.
Because then you set someone back.
Yeah.
So let's start with the Quincy Wilson versus Quincy Wilson not running the 300. He's running a very good indoor season so far. I think I just saw he ran a 500 PB, a 600. I think his 600 also was like pretty close to his personal best. So as of right now, like he's kind of just going through the high school motions. This is his senior year. Not as much pressure. Like I don't necessarily think he's planning to do world indoors. So for him, I think the kid's just having fun. One last hurrah with Bullis, which is good. But the interesting thing that hit me over the last couple of weeks is that I remember that the University of Maryland doesn't have a men's indoor team. So then in the winter, I guess it's a cool move in the decision to go run at the University of Maryland is that they'll be able to probably just represent New Balance as an NIL athlete at meets like this next year. So I'm sure it'll be under a different coach and stuff, but that hit me the other day. I was like, wait a second. I was like, Maryland doesn't have an indoor squad. So like, I guess like he'll, assuming, like contract extensions for NIL and all that stuff gets done, and like he'll be at this meet next year in a full New Balance kit again. So I thought that was cool. But yeah, I guess Preet, you want to see him in this men's 300.
I mean, when are you going to get to see Quincy Wilson race Noah Lyles? This is the opportunity. This was the opportunity, right? Like,
who would you kick out of this field?
I mean, I love Trayvon, but man, I've never even seen him run a 200, let alone.
He just ran one indoors.
Oh, did he run one indoors? But no, as in, yeah, I mean, he is obviously a much better short sprinter. So, I would probably say, you want to see Quincy versus Noah versus Jareem versus Vernon. Obviously, Quincy versus Vernon is always fun as well, because of the special relationship there. So, but yeah, I mean, it was an opportunity to have Quincy Wilson versus Noah Lyles, and you didn't take it. Again, just makes me sad.
Yeah, Trey opened up in 20.98 for the for 200 out at Texas Tech this past weekend. So he's in good form. And also, there's no way they're kicking out a New Balance athlete from the New Balance
maybe
indoor Grand Prix.
Well, no, I'm not saying he could run the 60.
That 60 is weak, actually.
Yeah, exactly. But and Noah did open up as well. He opened up last week with a 300 as well, 32.64. So wasn't.
What did you think about that?
I mean, he's talking a big game on Instagram right now. I don't know if you've seen the graphic, and it's kind of like we're not playing. I mean, he is the 300-meter indoor world record holder, and he ran that back in 2017 when he not even broken 20 seconds for the 200. I heard someone say back then when he did that, and obviously he's a much better athlete now. So. Yeah, I think that was Anderson who said that on the final leg, actually. So I mean, I think maybe we see him break that world record, but at the same time, him opening up in 32.6 wasn't really anything special when we had Tate Taylor, the high schooler, run 32.45. So yeah, it didn't then feel like he was kind of, but maybe it was a rustbuster. Who knows?
Well, if Noah's talking a big game about world record or whatever it might be, then like I'm waiting for this Garrett Kalund guy. I'm definitely butchering his last name. He was at USC, but this past weekend in Washington, he just ran 32.1. So it's like he's got a right to also start, talking a big game about running a 300 indoor world record, and there's not as much fanfare. Also, isn't that Spokane track like famously slow? So yeah, it kind of got lost in the shuffle. Obviously, Noah commands a bit more attention, and people saw the clip, and he's seems encouraged by the result. But yeah, I mean, like there's other people also running pretty fast at over 300. Do we see the world record? Maybe. Which is what? Let me look that one up. The indoor world record for 300 is
31.7, I think.
31.56 by Stephen Gardner.
Oh, sorry, yes. He had it before Gardner broke it, yeah. But I think Noah ran 31.7 something.
Noah ran 31.87 back in March 2017, and then Stephen Gardner broke it in 2022. So... yeah, and then I did see just sort of that Noah was catching some crap for running at this random college meet in Gainesville as well. And I guess you can go two ways with it. It's one, it's like because I remember this being a big point of his last year, right? About like, I need a stage where I can, I'm a star and I really want to showcase,
don't give it away for free, right?
And it's like you're running for free at this college meet with zero prize money probably as well. And, the top pros, I guess I saw Ray Edwards was saying like someone like Usain Bolt would never do anything like that. Now that's putting Bolt and Noah in the same category, which they're not. But yeah, I mean, so there's that. But then you also got to open up somewhere, right? Like, a solo time trial in practice can only give you so much, but maybe that's enough for people sometimes. So yeah, I mean, I go back and forth on, some of these pros running in these random college meets. Like it's very prevalent at this time of year at Texas Tech, at Clemson, Florida. So at Arkansas. But yeah, someone's got, because I guess maybe it's more important for the sprinters to get a rep or two in before you show up to something like the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix or the Millrose Games. The other note, because we talked about how weak the 60 is for the men, is that Grant Holloway put it up on Twitter that he was like, what if we remove the barriers or something like that? He was teasing Bald Grant, in one post, and then the idea of running the 60 in another, which I'm excited by. Like, I think it'd be a nice, fresh restart.
Yeah, he's announced for a
like
couple
Grant.
of meets in Europe already, I think, for the 60.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
To run the 60?
Yeah, to run the 60. At least one meet
Yeah.
he was announced for. I can't remember which one now, but yeah, I think he's running in the next few days.
And that's fantastic. I think that I like the move by Grant to focus on the 60. He had a hard year last year. He got beat quite a couple times, and yeah, maybe not what you envisioned after winning Olympic gold, but this could be the reset that he needs for 2026 at the end of the indoor season. It'd be fun to see him try and go for it at the U.S. Indoor Championships, and could he make that team?
Is he doing it because he's worried about losing his streak in the hurdles?
You said it, not me. Bree.
I'm going to get in trouble if I interview him. He listens to these things, doesn't he? Someone's going to clip it up and send it to him. But no, I mean, look, Grant, we love Grant, and he, if he does something fun, I think we've been wanting him because we know that he's so talented across other distances. We think he could be on that 4x1 relay team. We think he could run a great 400. He can long jump, so it'll be nice to see him doing some of those fun things this year. So I don't have a problem with it in Grant's case.
His PB is 6.50.
It's pretty
good.
Yeah, decent.
Yeah. Does that get you on the team? I don't know. Depends on I see Christian Coleman, I think, posted a workout. Like, is he going to, are we going to see him at all during the indoor season? He took indoors off last year, right?
Yeah, but I think that was in the cause of obviously trying to make the outdoor team, right? Which obviously he didn't manage to do for the Olympics. So whilst this year, again, same story, like there is no reason for that. Like, you don't need to worry about making the team this year. And actually, Coleman does go on the circuit and he runs well on the Diamond League anyway, outdoors. And that will get him to the Ultimate Championship. So he does what he normally does on the circuit. So I don't think he needs to worry too much about that. So I would say, why not go and be, we know he's the best in the world at the 60.
Yeah, I'm looking this up now. Like, over the last 2 years, because it's like, hypothetically speaking, if Grant Holloway is better than his 650, then he does actually have a shot at making this team. Because I was looking it up in the last 2 years, like who's run the 60 faster than that, and it's a very short list. It's Ronnie Baker, ran 650 last year. Trenaud Folson out at Clemson in an early season meet. Jordan Anthony, he's I think running this weekend, and J.C. Stevenson. Like, those are the only guys. Noah Lyles, he ran 652 in Boston last year. But yeah, I mean, so there would be a chance for Grant Holloway to try and contend for the gold medal in this, not gold medal, I'm sorry, for the at least like the 60 U.S. team.
Yeah.
And then if we're diving this far into the men's 60, did you see the news that Marcel Jacobs is back with his Italian coach?
Yeah, he's back with his Italian coach. So, yeah, and he's actually, he's a world indoor champion in the 60s.
Yeah.
So, but the other person that I thought was interesting on this 60 start list was a certain Crevant Charlton, the 2023 US champion in the 100 meters, who's obviously healthy enough to run. So that's good to see. Akeem Blake, it's good to see the Jamaicans running indoors as well. So that's
Crevant Charlton has already raced twice this year. He raced at a meet in Winston-Salem. He ran the 60 this past weekend, and he ran 6.70. So maybe not quite there yet, but good to see him back, because for the longest time, it was like, that game, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? It was like, where in the world is Crevant Charleston? And I guess like last year he made it to the semifinal of the 100 at USA's, but I mean, he never ran faster than 10.16, and that was in April of last year. So good to see him back. It's gonna take a bit, I think, for to him to get back into just sort of like that winning conversation. But all right, let's dive on into. Are there any other sprint fields that you want to highlight?
I mean, the women's 60 hurdles is also a surprisingly weak field for a 60 hurdle. I mean, it's got Devon Charlton, it's got Danielle Williams, but normally a 60 hurdles field indoors is jam packed. I mean, a women's hurdles race anywhere is jam packed, and this one isn't quite as deep as you would hope. But yeah, I think that was probably the only other one that we hadn't really touched on. So.
Yeah. Men's 300. All right, so you think Noah wins this thing?
I don't actually think Noah wins this thing. I think Jareem Richards wins this.
I could see it too. I think he doesn't get as much love just because he's never claimed.
He's also a world indoor champion in the 400, and he's a sub 2200 meter runner, and he's a 300 feels like his kind of distance.
My heart wants to pick Vernon, but my brain, I guess, or if you're gonna go Jareem Richards, then I'll just be safe and I'll pick Noah. But that is the race to watch at the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix, and it'll be the last event of the day, and you can tune in and watch it on NBC or Peacock. They'll be streaming it. All right, let's move on over to Boston Marathon. which like it's not too early to start to get excited about. The women's elite field was released today. The men's elite field will be released tomorrow. So I guess like we'll talk about it next week. But if it's any indication of how strong if it matches the caliber of the women's side, then this might be the greatest Boston Marathon yet. At least on the American side, I'll say, because I think 8 of the top 10 American women from last year are in this year's field. You got Sharon Lokedi coming back. You got, I think, 2 other sub 218 women. But the intriguing part of this one is that 2-time champion, 2023 and 2024 Boston Marathon champion, Hellen Obiri, not racing, which prevents us from getting an 8th race between Sharon and Hellen. And my presumption is that Hellen will be going to London and chasing a fast time there. Here's the problem with just sort of like how many majors there are now is that it just kind of splits the talent to so many different places. I guess you could go Tokyo, you could go London and Boston, right, in the spring, unless someone else is dishing out money.
Yeah, not really. And at Tokyo, the elite field, even though Tokyo is sooner than Boston or London, we have not had Tokyo elite fields either yet.
They keep that thing tight for quite a bit. Yeah. But maybe they are sort of waiting a little bit for. I mean, they are kind of second fiddle to Boston and London, so they maybe do wait for people who can't get into those, maybe who want to come race. There's also maybe a little bit of that. I don't know. But yeah. So, all right, at the top, it's great to see Sharon back. I'd love to see her go back to back. She's been so good at the marathon each time out. And, New York, she ended up coming just shy of the win after another battle with Hellen Obiri. Honestly, the question mark around Sharon is just like, how's she going to do in a marathon without Hellen, right? Like, I think all of her career races.
She's got to make the running herself. This is the thing, right? She's got to make the running herself. It's going to be very interesting.
Or you don't, because like she's proven that she could win these races if you leave it to the late kick. So it's like honestly, like Sharon's even more of a favorite because you don't necessarily have to push it so hard unless you do want to just kind of run the legs out of Irene Chepdai, who was 4th last year. She's back in the field, 2:17 PB, and then Worknish Odessa is the other sub 218 runner. She's won Sydney, I think, in the past before it was major, was 3rd there last year. But yeah, I guess the fun storyline is what will Sharon do without Hellen? And then the rest of, like, I guess we're waiting for the professional fields for London to be announced. But if you want to, like, as much as we're enamored by how strong the American women's field is here, the international field's kind of lacking because I think
Sharon's the only one who's won a major, right? So which is pretty unusual for.
And Worknish Odessa was number 10 fastest woman last year on like a record eligible course. So it means all the other 9 women ahead of her are going somewhere else. And so that includes Joycelyn Jepkosgei, I'm going to guess London, or maybe
she'll go to London. She's
London, because it'd be too soon to do anything since then because she ran 2:14 in Valencia. Paris Jepchirchir, she's London, I would think, because she's won there before. Howie Fesa, I don't know. I guess maybe she could be one that goes to Tokyo. If not, I mean, 2:14.57 could be in London. Tigisa Seifa, 2:15.50 to break the women's only marathon world record last year in London. She's going to get a big appearance fee to be back to defend her title. And then you got Tsutume Kebede and Bridget Kosgei. London.
And where is Sifan Hassan?
Yeah, that's true. honestly, I'm bummed that she's not in this now that you mention her.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, I did feel like I was really hoping that Sifan Hassan would be in this Boston field. I was kind
Me
of
too.
that was
Now
my
that I
that was
think
my
about it.
sneaky kind of, and one of the things I wanted to do, like if we didn't have this news coming out, was my suggestion was going to be to, because we didn't have as many news stories this week, was to have a little speculation session on what is Sifan Hassan going to do this year, what can she do? That's fun because she. I mean, last year was quite boring by Sifan Hassan standards. She ran 3 marathons, but that was that was all she did.
I guess, what does she need? She's got Chicago, London, Sydney, 3 major wins.
Yeah, and then she's run Tokyo, and
she's run New York.
But
And
she
so
hasn't
then
won it. Yeah,
she
which
hasn't
is why I
run
thought
Boston.
Yeah,
Yeah. Boston would be, what, her 7th start? No, 6th. She's missing Berlin.
yeah,
as well.
she's not Berlin. So
Berlin and Boston. Man, that would have been a great year
Yeah.
for Sifan Hassan. Like that should have been it. Like
yeah,
try and win Boston, because you proved, I guess, like New York got the best of her, but that's also because she ran Sydney not that far before that. But we saw what she did in Paris on a hilly course. Go out and destroy Boston, and then after that, go and try and break the world record in Berlin. So yeah, yeah, you're right. Sifan Hassan is missing from this, but let's turn it to a happier note, and all the Americans that'll be here is
Yeah.
very exciting.
all of them that we were talking about last week, pretty much, and the ones who are actually running marathons actively right now. The vast majority of them are in this field that we were talking about last week as potential contenders for the Olympic trials.
Yeah, so we'll wait for the men's field to come out, but like we've got our first early taste of what 2028 could look like, because this one's got Fiona O'Keefe, who ran 2:22 last year in New York. It's got Jess McLean, who also ran 2:22 in Boston, top American, fastest time all courses last year. You got the full Olympic team with O'Keefe, American record holder Emily Sisson, and who was our third? Dakota Popane. And then you've got the full world championship team, 4th place finisher Susanna Sullivan, Jess McLean, who was 8th, and then you've also got Erica Kemp. Erica Kemp, who ran 2:22 last year, 3rd fastest American woman, all courses. Some intriguing debuts. Natasha Rogers has never raced on this course.
And she was
You've
top American in
got-
Chicago, so
She was top American. So yeah, you've locked in top American from Boston, Worlds, Chicago, New York. So Kira D'Amato's trying to bounce back from 2:28 in Valencia. You got Annie Frisbee, who was 2nd American in Boston last year. Amanda Vestry with a solid debut in New York last year. Okay, so it comes down to who's missing, who's not running Boston. And interestingly, Emma Bates not running Boston. She ran Valencia, and Bates has been a regular here. Aubrey Frentaway, who ran 2:27 at Grandma's last year, just announced that she's expecting her first kid. Congrats to her. Maggie Montoya ran 2:27 in Rotterdam last year, not on this start list. Then you got a lot of people who just ran fast, like in Marathon Project, CIM. That's a Molly Grable. You got who else? Jane Barekis, who are not on it, but of the upper echelon of U.S. marathoners, they got them all. Molly Seidel has moved on to the Trails Ultra scene, already finding great success there. We've got a podcast interview with her on Getting Chicked that you can listen to. We might even drop it onto the CITIUS Mag feed later this week. And I guess Betsy Sena still coming back from having her 2nd kid. She might be in the Tokyo field, with Tokyo being an A6 race and her being an A6 athlete, and she's run well there in the past. But aside from that, like, I'm guessing like not a ton. No one who's actively racing is missing.
Yeah.
Is this what it's going to be like for you with the London fields, hopefully?
Well, Callie Hooger-Thackeray, top Brit, is racing.
Oh, that's right.
Is in this field. She's in Boston. I mean, I wonder with Callie, I don't know, I'm speculating wildly, but if she has to stay in the US for her visa, because she's obviously been quite vocal about targeting a fast time, so I would have expected her to go to London. But yeah, maybe that would be the reason why she's in Boston. Or that could be a reason why she's in Boston. Or maybe she just wants to run Boston, who knows. But maybe she'll do the double because she's crazy enough.
Was she 5th or 6th here last year in Boston,
6th.
I think?
Yeah, she was 6th.
Yeah.
So
a good showing by her. But yeah, Boston, April 20th, going to be really exciting. We'll be there on site. So stay tuned for our plans from there. But yeah, I guess was there any other news that I guess we missed from the last week? There was Fred Curley news that wasn't Enhanced Games related, but it looks like the charges of domestic battery with strangulation and strong arm robbery that stemmed from that incident with his wife from May 2024, those charges have been dropped. And then the charges of battery on an officer and resisting arrest from Miami Beach in January 2025, the one that was captured on camera and shared pretty widely, those were dismissed on the condition that he takes an anger management course. But he is set to go to trial for the incident that took place between him and Alicia Johnson in Miami the day or two before the Grand Slam meet that was there. So I think that's next month. February 17th, I believe, is when the trial date is set for. But a lot of people were having a field day with the statement from his lawyer where it said, the domestic violence charges were dismissed outright. The state of Florida fortunately saw what my responding detectives originally found that day in May of 2024. My client never touched this woman. My client is excited to put this behind him and focus on winning races and making our nation proud. And everyone's like, what do you mean making our nation proud? Like he's serving a suspension and he's in the Enhanced Games. Are we supposed to be proud of winning the Enhanced Games? So people were clinging on to that. Anything else? Did we talk about Phoenix last week? Phoenix bidding for the trials?
I can't remember. I think we mentioned it, maybe. But
okay.
I don't, yeah. No, we definitely talked about St. Louis, didn't we? But we didn't talk. Maybe we know Phoenix hadn't been announced when we. Yeah, Phoenix was announced a couple of days later, I think.
Well, that's what it is. I guess the news is that it's Phoenix versus St. Louis for the 2028 U.S. Olympic Marathon Trials. No LA bid, so for the people who are like, oh, like it'll be nice if they can run, what the Olympic marathon course would be before the games, like not going to happen. At this point, there's no new cities that are going to be entering the bidding process. The bids were due in December, and the next steps is that there's going to be some site visits from USATF to both of those cities. But I'm excited just by the fact that these are two very accessible cities. I don't know if I'm leaning one way or the other right now. I'd love to see what the courses are. But for the Phoenix bid, I did talk to the CEO of the Brooksea race series and race production that puts on the Las Vegas Marathon, the Phoenix Marathon. And so they're the group that it will be behind the Phoenix bid, and tons of hotels in the area. So that checks a big box. It's not going to be like Eugene prices when you try and find some lodging. And then the course will be not what the Phoenix Marathon course is, but they'll find some fair, fast, flat stretches. I haven't looked into what the weather is around that time of year, but it'll be late March because the date is set. I think it's March 25th and 26th are the two options for people to host the marathon trials in 2028, which is a little bit later than it was February in 2024 and February again in 2020. But yeah, have you ever been to either of those cities, St. Louis or Phoenix?
I have not.
No. All right. Well, maybe Preet will have to check more states off your list because now this is your first time in Boston, right?
Yeah, first time in Boston. So quite excited for that.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? You told me it was like, hey, what's our schedule because I want to do some sightseeing. I mean, I'm curious. Are you gonna go to Cheers?
I'm probably gonna do the Freedom Walk. I'm kind of a history nerd, so I will probably do the nerdy history stuff. I mean, the Tea Party, that's kind of a very British, Indian kind of colonial, that kind of stuff is quite interesting for me. So,
Can we get you to live tweet just your history tour?
I'll see what I can do. I will see what I can do.
Preet takes Boston. Hashtag Preet takes Boston.
The other thing I'm planning to do is to meet the master of track Twitter, Alex Preno. That I'm also going to take that off my bucket list
Nice. Okay.
in Boston. So yes, but yeah, no, looking forward to it, and go to and make the pilgrimage to the BU track. I think there is a meet the same day on the Saturday.
It is, yeah.
So I might see if I can pop down for that for a little bit as well, just to see some races on the BU track, see what it's really like.
And then you hit New York the following week, but that'll be your first time at the Armory?
Yeah, I've never been to the Armory either, so yeah, should be fun.
Exciting times ahead for Preet and on his little USA tour to kick off 2026. So stoked for you, Preet. Can't wait to see you in just a couple days. And yeah, next week we'll have a bit more of a discussion around world rankings and how some things have changed and what some of the implications may be for not just this season, I think also for next season.
Yeah,
so.
it has. I think they're testing it out a little bit this season. That's why they've kind of done it this season, because it doesn't directly impact the World Championships.
But this is kind of flying under the radar. But we'll talk more about that next week, and we will recap everything that takes place down in Boston. And there's also a meet in New York City, Dr. Sander, where you got Cooper Leckenhouse making his pro debut. He got some spots on the line for the Miller Rose Games Wanamaker Mile with the winner of the Dr. Sanders Mile on both the men's and women's side. They'll get that spot to race again a week later. And if you want to stay tapped on all of that coverage, be sure to follow along with CITIUS Mag on Instagram, Twitter, anywhere you get your news fix. We will see you next week.